They say the night hides more than shadows. It hides the truth.
Welcome to Mr. Haunting Whispers, where real crimes, true horrors, and restless spirits speak through the silence. Listen closely, because sometimes the whispers are real.
Sometimes the worst part of a haunting is not being alone, because when someone else swears they saw it too, you can't tell yourself it was just in your head. I remember that night so clearly because nothing about it should have stood out. It was supposed to be a quick drive, 2 hours down a quiet stretch of highway, me and my best friend Marcus heading back from a weekend camping trip. We left just before sunset, joking that we wanted to beat the dark. The road twisted through forest, endless pines and low mist that made the trees look like they were leaning closer than they should. We were tired, both quiet, the kind of silence that only happens between people who don't need to fill the air. Somewhere past midnight, the GPS signal cut out. Marcus laughed it off, said we'd been on the same road for nearly 40 miles, that there was no way to get lost. But then the forest swallowed the last of the sky, and the headlights showed something that shouldn't have been there, an intersection. I don't know how we missed it before. 4 roads, all dirt, meeting in a perfect cross. No signs, no fences, just a single lamppost burning a weak yellow light. Marcus slowed down. We were supposed to stay on the highway, he said, but when I looked back at the road behind us, it wasn't there. I'm not exaggerating. The pavement was gone. Behind us was nothing but the same dirt path stretching into the trees. Marcus frowned, checked the mirror twice. I could hear him breathing. We must have turned off at some point, he said, but even he didn't sound convinced. We picked one of the other paths at random, hoping it would reconnect to the main road. The forest thickened. The air felt heavy. I rolled the window down to shake off the fog in my head, but the smell that came through wasn't forest air. It smelled like iron. The clock on the dash blinked 12:07. I looked again a minute later. It still said 12:07. Marcus noticed it too, and that's when he finally stopped the car. We sat there in the middle of the dirt road, headlights cutting into mist that didn't move. He looked at me and said, "You see that?" I thought he meant the clock, but then I followed his eyes and saw someone standing at the edge of the light. A man, or at least the shape of one. He was facing away from us, completely still. His clothes looked old, like from another time. A long coat and boots heavy with mud. We waited for him to move. He didn't. Marcus honked once, short, sharp. The sound just vanished into the fog. No echo. And then the man turned. He didn't step forward. He didn't wave. He just turned, slow and deliberate, until his face caught the headlights. Except it wasn't a face. It was blurred. Not like motion blur, but like it wasn't finished, like a painting someone had smeared before it dried. Marcus whispered, "What the hell?" I said, "Don't." I don't even know why. Just that word. Then the light flickered, not the headlights, the lamppost behind us. When it came back on, there were 2 of them standing there, both facing the car, both wrong in the same way. Marcus hit the gas. The tires screamed against dirt and we tore forward. But the road didn't lead anywhere. It just kept turning. Every time we thought we were making progress, the same lamppost appeared again ahead of us. We passed it 3 times before Marcus finally stopped, shaking his head, whispering, "No, no, no." I looked back again. They were closer now, maybe 50 feet away. Still not moving, but the light behind them was dimmer, like it was being swallowed by the fog itself. The 4th time we passed the lamppost, I told him to stop. I don't know why. I just had this feeling. If we kept driving, we'd never leave. We both sat there, hands shaking, staring at the dirt ahead of us. Then, in the rear view mirror, I saw headlights. 2 bright beams cutting through the fog behind us. Another car. I can't explain the relief that hit me. I actually laughed, almost cried. Marcus rolled his window down and waved his arm, but the other car didn't slow down. It drove straight toward us, fast, and the headlights didn't blink, didn't shift, didn't react. Marcus shouted and slammed the car into reverse, but the moment he did, the other lights vanished, not turned, not off, just gone. Silence. No engine noise. No fog movement. Just us. And that was when the voice came from the back seat. It said, quiet and calm, "You took the wrong turn again." Marcus jumped out of the car. I spun around. The back seat was empty, but there was mud on the upholstery, a long streak across the seat like someone had been sitting there with wet clothes. We never saw the lamppost again. Somehow, 20 minutes later, the trees opened and the asphalt was back under our tires. The clock jumped to 1:34. The GPS reconnected like nothing had happened. We didn't talk about it. Not that night. Not for months. But here's the thing that still keeps me up. Last year, Marcus sent me a photo. He'd moved states, new job, new town. The picture showed a dirt intersection, 4 roads, same lamppost. He wrote one line under it. "It's brighter this time." I called him back right away. His phone went straight to voicemail. The next day, his sister said he'd gone missing on a late-night drive. The police found his car empty, parked at a crossroads. Keys still in the ignition. Clock frozen at 12:07. When my brother asked me to help him fix up the old farmhouse our grandfather left behind, I said yes, mostly out of guilt. He'd been working on it alone for weeks, trying to make it livable enough to rent out. The place sat at the end of a gravel road that no one maintained anymore. Fields on 3 sides, woods on the 4th. The first night, we slept on cots in the living room because the bedrooms still smelled of dust and varnish. The silence there was different, dense, as if the air itself didn't want to move. You could hear every board creak under your breath. Around midnight, while we were half asleep, we heard it. 3 soft knocks coming from upstairs. Slow, polite. My brother thought maybe it was the wind shaking a shutter. We ignored it. It came again, same rhythm, a little louder. He grabbed a flashlight and went up first. I followed. The upstairs hallway was narrow, lined with doors that hadn't been opened in years. At the end was the smallest room, our grandfather's old study. The sound came from there. But when we opened the door, it stopped. The room was empty except for a roll-top desk and a cracked mirror leaning against the wall. My brother laughed. "Old houses talk," he said, but his voice sounded thin in that room, like it didn't want to stay. We went back downstairs. I remember looking at my watch, 12:14 a.m. We talked for another hour before sleep finally came. The next morning, we found the mirror moved. It was standing upright now, facing the door instead of the wall. Neither of us had touched it. We carried it downstairs, meaning to take it out to the barn later, but we forgot. That night, it started again. Same time, 3 knocks from upstairs. We went together, flashlights cutting through the dark. The study door was open this time. The mirror was gone. We found it back upstairs in the hallway, angled so that it reflected the both of us in a narrow slice of light. And in that reflection, just behind our shoulders, someone else stood. A shape. Too tall. Too thin. We turned instantly, but the hallway was empty. When we looked back, the mirror showed only us. My brother said, "It's a trick of the light," but he wouldn't meet my eyes. We dragged the mirror out to the barn that night. It felt heavier than it should have. We leaned it against the far wall and covered it with an old tarp. I remember the sound of the tarp settling, like a breath being held. We slept downstairs again, both of us pretending not to wait for the sound. It didn't come. No knocks, no footsteps, nothing. At breakfast, the air smelled of dust and smoke. I went outside to clear my head and noticed something odd. Fresh footprints leading from the barn to the porch. Bare feet, small, like a child's. My brother said maybe an animal stepped on wet earth, but the prints were too precise, each toe clear. We followed them to the barn door. Inside, the tarp lay crumpled on the floor. The mirror stood uncovered, reflecting the open doorway and the 2 of us framed inside it. I took a step forward and the air felt cold, heavy enough to press on my skin. Then the mirror trembled, not from wind, but from inside. The glass rippled like water. We backed away slowly, closed the barn door, and nailed it shut. That night, we drove into town and slept in the truck. When we came back the next morning, every door in the house was open, every single one. And on the wall of the living room, written in the dust, were 3 clean finger lines drawn perfectly parallel. My brother refuses to talk about it now. He says the house is fine, that he finished the work and rented it out. But last week, the new tenant called him about a problem in the upstairs hallway. She said there's a mirror up there that doesn't belong to her, and sometimes late at night, she hears 2 men whispering. One of them sounds like him. We were on our way to a job site 2 states over when the storm hit, the kind that turns every highway sign into a mirror of rain and headlight glare. By the time we pulled into town, the wipers were useless and the thunder felt like it was cracking the road in half. The only place open was a squat 2-story motel at the edge of town. The neon sign flickered between ROOMS and ROMS, and half the letters were burned out. Inside, the air smelled faintly of bleach and cigarettes. The clerk barely looked up, just slid 2 keys across the counter. Rooms 7 and 8. My co-worker Dale said we might as well take one room. The walls looked thin enough to talk through. So we did. Room 7, 2 beds, brown carpet, a TV bolted to the dresser, and a buzzing light that dimmed every few seconds like it was breathing. We turned on the heater and tried to dry our clothes. Outside, the rain beat against the window hard enough to blur everything beyond it. Around midnight, we both heard it. A muffled voice from the room next door. At first, it was just the cadence, slow, deliberate, like someone rehearsing a story. Then we caught the words. A man was talking about a car breaking down, about a storm, about 2 men checking into a motel. Dale looked at me, eyebrows raised. Coincidence, he said. We laughed, a nervous sound that didn't last long. The voice kept going, calm and steady, describing the sound of the rain, the hum of the heater, the color of the carpet. It was describing our room. Dale got up and pressed his ear to the wall. The voice stopped. Silence. He knocked 3 times. Another knock came back. Same rhythm, same timing. We waited. Then a second voice joined the first, softer, almost a whisper. It said our names. Both of them. We froze. Dale whispered, "You told the guy at the desk our names?" I shook my head. We hadn't. He grabbed his coat, said he was going to check. I followed him out into the narrow walkway between the rooms. The rain was colder now, mixed with wind. The door to room 8 stood slightly open, chain lock swinging. Dale knocked. "Hello? You all right in there?" No answer. He pushed the door. The lights were off. The bed was made. No luggage, no clothes, no shoes by the wall. Just a single old rotary phone sitting on the nightstand. Dale reached for it. I told him not to. He lifted the receiver anyway. There was breathing on the line. Then a voice, his voice, said, "You shouldn't have opened the door." He dropped the phone so fast it hit the carpet and spun. The dial clicked by itself, each number snapping into place. Then the phone started ringing. But the sound wasn't coming from the phone on the nightstand. It was coming from our room next door. We ran back out into the walkway, slammed our door shut, and stood there listening. The phone kept ringing, long, patient rings that never stopped. I picked it up on the 4th one. "Room 7, I said, trying to sound steady. The voice on the other end whispered, "You left the light on." Then everything went dark. The bulb overhead flicked once and died. Only the neon sign outside gave any light, pulsing red through the curtain. Dale stood by the window, not moving. I asked if he was all right. He didn't answer, just kept staring out. When I finally stepped beside him, I saw what he was looking at. Across the parking lot, through the rain, every other room was dark, except room 8. The curtain there was open now. 2 silhouettes stood inside. They looked exactly like us. The storm ended sometime before dawn. We left without checking out, without looking back. A week later, I called the number on the motel receipt, area code 580, the name Cedar Hill Motor Lodge. A woman answered, said the place had closed 12 years ago after a fire took the 2nd floor. Rooms 7 and 8 had been gutted. She asked who was calling. I told her my name. There was a long pause, then she said quietly, "You've called before?" I said, "No, I haven't." She hung up.
You've been listening to Mr. Haunting Whispers, where every truth leaves a scar. If the story unsettled you, good. That means you were listening. Subscribe and stay close to the dark, because the next whisper might be for you.